That's when I knew like the shit was over. I was like, okay, it's over. The company's gonna go bankrupt. Yo, what is up? We have a whopper. We got a doozy for you this time. You can look at the time, you can tell it's a long podcast. It's going to be a really good episode. I tell the story of the Nova bankruptcy of 2007 before, give you a lot of context, a lot of different stuff. It's going to be good. So strap in. Before that, though, let me tell you, do me a favor, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to it as well. Just take a second, if before we get into this. I'm really excited about this episode. Take a second, like this podcast, like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, do all this shit. Rod, thank you. I appreciate you. Every time leaving a comment. Kudos to you. The rest of y'all motherfuckers, please do that. Like, just help me out on this one. If you get anything from this video and any entertainment, you're gonna get your money's worth this time. The price of admission is a like, is a comment, is a fucking subscription. Okay, so do that and enjoy. Yo, what's going on, y'all? What's going on, y'all? We are here for a good one tonight. You can tell I'm in the mood to talk some shit with y'all. Look what I got. I got this big ass wino cup. It's such a wino glass of some of Costco's finest red wine. Let me pull this a little closer to me. Come on, fish this. Oh shit. Okay, there we go. I gotta get comfortable for this. This episode is just straight story time. It's a little late at night. I was fucking around and watching Godzilla on TV. Not the old school ones, like the new one with Ken Watanabe. I was just taking a little second to chill after everyone went to bed, and it was on Japanese TV. Like, it's like a two week kind of thing. I'm hoping they play Godzilla Part 2 next week, because I haven't seen that one. And so, it was on TV and commercial breaks and shit. And then halfway through, I'm like, well, I need to take a bath and stuff like that. And I was like, why the fuck am I sitting through commercial breaks when I'm pretty sure this shit's on Netflix, which it was. So I just turned it on Netflix, took a bath, turned it on Netflix, and I was just watching for a little bit while I was setting up everything. But this time, again, nothing else. Rod, the topic that I have for this episode, I'm pushing back because I promised you guys I would tell the story of Nova's bankruptcy, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna tell this shit, pack up everything, and go the fuck to sleep because I gotta work tomorrow. So, and I don't know how long it's gonna take me to tell this shit, because okay. All right. Let me start in the beginning. So this, nothing special is happening in Japan before I start this, by the way. Everything's just kind of plugging along. They're trying to get everything started back up here, but pretty sure it's similar to how it's going where you're at. They're trying. There's gonna be a second wave. Are they gonna shut shit down? Blah blah blah. So whatever. Back to my story. Okay, so this story starts 2004, right? That's long ago. Gosh, I'm getting older. Oh my gosh, yeah. So don't worry, if I finish this, I got reinforcements sitting right next to me. I'm gonna be drinking from the bottle if this story gets really long. Just warning y'all, like, this shit's not classy. I'm here with myself, but just with y'all. So I'm gonna keep it real with you. Late at night, if the wine bottle's almost finished, I'm drinking from the fucking bottle. I'm not trying to pour and spill shit on the carpet. I'm just gonna drink it from the bottle. Just letting you know, okay? Don't be surprised if you see that. All right, so anyway, 2004, I come to Japan. Now, I come to Japan as a Nova teacher. And if you're not familiar with what Nova, sorry, let me adjust this. If you're not familiar with what Nova is or was, it used to be at one point, for a long time, it was the the largest by far conversational Japanese school, Eikaiwa school, here in Japan. If you're not familiar with what Eikaiwa is, it's conversational English. What that means is not really based on grammar. It's not based on, reading or textbook study at all. It's based strictly on output. And the reason why it's this interesting little niche of Japanese education, because the nature of the Japanese educational system. Japanese people are very proficient in English, actually. They study English from when they're now, I think third grade they're starting, or elementary school, we'll just say that. And, a Japanese person's grammar is probably better than yours. Understanding of grammar, let me say that. Their understanding of grammar is probably better than yours, even if you come here as a teacher. Because they study the shit, the structure, the components of English, making a sentence, all that. Although it's oversimplified and there are several mistakes to it, I have to correct all the time. That's how kids are educated here. The problem is, because Japanese education is so one way, it's just strictly the teacher teaches, the students listen. Students go through school without an opportunity, and life without an opportunity to actually use English. So what you have is, for example, people who are different phases of life: elementary, junior high, high school, university, adults, who, even though they might be familiar with English, they might be able to read English, they can't speak English at all, right? And that's kind of where conversational English study comes in, where if someone actually needs to, practically use their skill, they need to study or brush up, get confidence, whatever they need to do, for example, to go abroad, to have a job where they actually deal with foreign colleagues or give a presentation, do sales, move abroad. Like, there's handle incoming customers. There's a wide variety of reasons. Just because they're fucking bored and they just want something to study, there's a wide variety of reasons, right? Why my industry exists. And, in my opinion, I'm one of the best at it. I'm a damn good teacher. I've been doing it for 16 years. I care about what I do. I'm very passionate about it. Now, when I was 16, when I came to Japan in 2004, I wasn't, not at all, right? At that time, like most people at that time, I came to Japan, wanting to live here, because I've probably told the story before. Because during university, I don't know if I told this full story here, but I won't do the whole thing now. But during university, my university life, I really was not able to come here. I wanted to. I promised myself I would. And serendipity, destiny, it was destiny, allowed me the opportunity, provided me with the door to come to Japan, and I walked through it. So Nova was the company that I chose to apply to and come to Japan. The reason why I chose Nova, and at the time there was a lot of message boards, not YouTube shit. There was message boards, warning about the evils of Nova and Eikaiwa and blah, 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 blah. You'll hear me use Eikaiwa a lot. Again, Eikaiwa means conversational English study. So, or conversational English, let me say that. Yeah, but conversational English study. So basically, I applied to Nova, right? And one of the reasons was because it was the largest company at the time here in Japan. It was the fucking McDonald's of conversational English. And I talked to my coworkers, younger coworkers as well, someone who was not around before this company went bankrupt. You can't understand the scale of this fucking company. When I say McDonald's, I mean fucking McDonald's. At its peak, just before it ended, this company, they were trying to get 1,000 language schools in Japan. They were at 900 plus. They almost got there before it went crashed and burned. But 900 something schools, pretty much at that time, every train station in Tokyo, had a Nova school. Every major train station, and I mean, if you just look at a map, remember I told you, it's spiders, snakes having sex on a helicopter. If you look at the sheer amount of train stations in the Tokyo area, it's fucking massive. And I'm pretty sure even if there wasn't one at every train station, at least you wouldn't have to go more than 2 stops to get to one wherever you are, right? You wouldn't have to ride 5 minutes to get wherever you are. And the way that it was marketed was Ekimae Ryugaku, I believe it was Ekimae Ryugaku, which means translates to study abroad in front of a train station. And that was the business model of the time. Like, the train stations are kind of the hubs of society here, especially in the Tokyo area. So having, in front of anything in front right next to a train station is prime real estate. It's also fucking expensive as shit, right? So, and Nova had like huge signs, huge billboards, huge fucking schools right in front of every major train station throughout Tokyo. Like, the shit was massive, right? Like, to give you some context, but you have to think, like, not only that, like, I was just going over it in my mind, how I'm even trying to explain the infrastructure that this company had at the time. Like, to service that amount, and we can just only deal with the Tokyo area. Then you have Osaka, then you have smaller towns as well. Like, luckily, I applied to Tokyo. I got into Yokohama, which is why, I'm familiar with the area, the suburbs of Tokyo. But not only the major cities, but I'll just focus on the Tokyo area because that's kind of like the big tomato. But even the Tokyo area alone, you have to think to service that amount of people. And also Osaka, they had like an online learning center, even like in the early 2000s, way before fucking 4G, way before smartphones, way before Wi-Fi. It was a fucking massive, bulky ass, like, teleconference thing. It was fucking horrible, right? Because you could plug into your TV. It was ridiculous. But they made it work. Somehow, people bought the shit. They were running TV ads all over the place. It was crazy. Now you have to think, like, just think for a second. To service that massive amount of business, massive amount of students, you need a massive amount of teachers, right? Now, to have that, you need to have a massive infrastructure to facilitate a large influx of native English speakers from all over the world, pretty much, right? That's kind of what they did. So me personally, like, I was recruited in Washington, D.C. And at the time, like, Nova had, I think, like, in America, either 2 or 3 full-time designated recruitment centers in America. Like, one was in Boston. I think the other one was maybe in LA, and there might have been another one in Chicago or something like that. I can't remember. I kind of just focused on the one in Boston. And, on one weekend, they did a recruitment campaign or whatever the fuck it was in Washington, D.C., like my hometown. So, like, they had a recruiter, they rented out like some fucking office space or whatever, and the dude just came down and was like, yo, y'all want to come to Japan? Like, I was just like, yeah. And the shit was like, looking back on it now, I remember that was the last time I rode the subway in Washington, D.C. I rode to go into that because I had my car and I just don't like riding the train. After I got a car, I was just like, man, fuck the train, especially in DC, because, it's a clean train system, but it's just not convenient. Like, something that you can just, somewhere you can drive in like 15 minutes is going to take you like 45 minutes to an hour to get to, right? So, fuck that, right? This is before Uber and everything like that, so. So, like, I go to this recruitment center, and I'll never forget. In hindsight, pretty much all that was, they were just looking for warm bodies at that time, right? I'm not saying, and trust me, Japan, the landscape of teaching in Japan has changed like a motherfucker since then. So don't think my experience coming into Japan is the same experience you'll have coming into Japan. It's totally different, okay? Just a completely different era. I'm an old head. You see, I got gray in my beard. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's just a different age, right? But at that time, in hindsight, if I could tell myself something, they're just looking for warm bodies. Can you read? Did you graduate from university? Are you not fucking crazy? Okay, here's your ticket. You're coming to Japan. That's kind of what it actually was. The interview was like a few minutes. and I remember the one thing that stood out for me was like, I don't know if I've said this on this podcast, but like, I'm like, this is a job interview, so I'm trying to just like nod. And the guy, the recruiter, he's like, so what do you guys know about Japan? And this fucking girl raises her hand and she's just like, talks for like 5 minutes, the dumbest shit ever. And she's just like, yeah, like, it's like Top Gun, America is like Maverick, and Japan is like Iceman. You know what I'm saying? And she just keeps going off. Like, and I was just like, my jaw just dropped. I'm just like listening to her spew this crazy shit. I'm like, we're in a fucking job interview. Just shut the fuck up. But I could imagine she probably got a chance to go to Japan at that time because to feed the beast of that amount of English teachers needed, you had to churn. They had to churn people out. So not from America, from Europe, from Australia, from New Zealand. Pretty much were probably the main areas, and probably some other countries that I'm probably missing. But again, Canada, of course, too. I think we're the majority of the big country, England, of course, UK, and stuff like that. But again, they were looking for native English speakers. You had to come from a country that English was the main language. Let me just again check. I got my new phone recording, so yeah, we're good. Sorry, it's hard to break the flow. So, I go through the interview process. I get I get my ticket to Japan, and I'm off here. But I just wanted to give you a glimpse of. I won't walk through all the steps that I went through to come here, but that lets you know how massive it was. You have recruitment centers all over the world, based all over the world, whose sole job is to, find, recruit, hire. I mean, they got paid off of incentives. The number of people they got coming into Japan was how they got paid, apparently. Excuse me. Get you your visa, get you on a plane, make sure you got money saved up. That was the thing. They were like, okay, we expect you to have, I think, like $1,500 or something. I forgot how much they said. At the time, like you could have, sign you up, make sure your documents are okay. They could offer you a loan through Nova, right? So I think your first month's paycheck or something like that, you pay back in installments, which kind of helped lock you in to working for them. Because if you're poor, you come to a new country, and they also give you an apartment. So if you got an apartment, they give you a futon. Like they provided you with like a furnished apartment and like a futon that you can sleep on. That they got delivered to your house when you moved in. So you didn't need anything but like a suitcase, and you could come to Japan with like an apartment, from day one, and just a job and a visa, was what it was. But if you, again, think back on the infrastructure you need dedicated housing people, you need dedicated moving people, you need dedicated real estate people, they had dedicated insurance people, all these fucking subdivisions just to feed the amount, of incoming students. So it was just a massive amount of cash flow that this fucking company had. Like, it was the game in town, and that came with a lot of hangups and stuff like that, which again, I'm not going to get into right now. Questionsforakil at gmail.com if you want to ask me any other specific questions about this. Before I do anything, I got to keep reminding you guys, please like, please subscribe, please comment, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. Please subscribe to this video. It will, not this video, this fucking channel. I know, like, if you don't say it, people won't do it. So fucking do it, please. Okay. I gotta just start saying it at the beginning of the fucking show. I'll try and remember to do it. But okay, I'm almost 20 minutes deep into this story. I gotta fucking get it moving. All right, so yeah, like, this is just a massive amount of infrastructure maintained for the sole purpose of feeding people into coming into Japan, right? So it was really, you can't imagine. Now, what that did for me, I was thinking about before, what that did for the Japanese economy itself. Japan was very deflationary at that time until 2012, when Abenomics, quote unquote, if you're not familiar with Abenomics, Abenomics, which was initiated in 2012. I think it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2012. Fuck, 8 years ago. Jesus. Okay. But Google that. That was, the central bank, Prime Minister Abe's attempt to really propel Japan out of deflation just by printing a bunch of fucking money, quantitative easing, pretty much, for 20 years. So when I came to Japan, Japan was extremely deflationary. Prices went nowhere forever. Like, real estate was guaranteed to lose money. But coming to Japan as a young person in my 20s with a lot of disposable income is fucking great, right? Because with no car, no nothing. Like, that's what I said. Like, coming to Japan, it's very easy in the it used to be. It's becoming harder and harder, but it's easy in the beginning, and it gets more challenging the longer you're here, especially at that time, because like coming here, if you got nothing, you got a salary, you got a job. It was the most money I made in my life at that time. I was like, okay, fuck, I can actually save some money, and I can travel, and I can do whatever the fuck I want. Like, great. It was amazing, and that's what a lot of people at the time came here for. Some people, they came for the visa. Like, it was funny because I remember, because it's basically just guaranteed, visas, travel visas. If you wanted a 1-year visa, a 6-month visa, whatever, you got it. So even at my training, after going in there, I think like 1 or 2 people just never showed up, because after they got their visa, because once you get your visa, if you don't take that loan from the company, if you think about it, if you don't take that loan, I forgot how or why they hooked you in, but if you don't have your housing through them and you don't take your loan through them, which I think several Australian people didn't do that I know, then you're just free to do whatever the fuck you want. So during my training, there was like 1 or 2 people who just never showed up their first day at work. They just got their visa and they just fucked off, basically. They either got another job, or they probably just wanted to come into Japan and hang out for like a month or 2 months and enjoy life here. They probably had their own savings. If you think about it, if you save a few $1,000 and you just, you're young, or I think in Australia you can take like a gap year or something like that, or they have to, or something like some shit like that. But like, and you got some money, so you work for like 6 months, you got a few $1,000 together, and you just want to like hang out, enjoy Japan, travel all over the country for like a month, 2, maybe 3, sign up. Once you get your visa, just fuck off and do whatever the fuck you want, and just hang out, for a couple months, go surfing, go to Okinawa. Like, you can just live for cheap and just go backpacking through fucking Japan, So that was also part of the cost of doing business for them, because basically you just had like of course you had some people who were, career Nova teachers, quote unquote, at the time, which was a career English teacher, which that's why I said in the previous episode that job held much more status than it does now. And the bankruptcy of Nova, I think, had a lot to do with that, because it was seen as a stable job at that point. You're working for a huge company. Salary increases were during each, you were on an annual contract, but salary increases were pretty much guaranteed, every year. It might not seem that much, but like, I think it was like $100 or something, $150 salary increase every contract. But if you're working, I forgot how. This is like 15 years ago. I forgot, what it was like. But I know for people who were working there since like the 80s, for example, you've been working at the same job for like 15, 20 years, getting like a steady salary increase every fucking year, your salary starts looking pretty nice, and especially if you're established here, you know what you're doing, you got a family. So for those kind of guys, I ran across a few of those. I call them Nova lifers, and it's someone in my early 20s. I'm like, you're in your 40s, you're still an English teacher. Now look at me now, I'm 38, I'm still an English teacher. But no, I'm also an entrepreneur. But still, like, I would say a lot of those guys were on cruise control, because they thought like, yo, I'm at Nova, I'll just do it, keep getting salary increases and fucking retire. Was their plan. Didn't really work out that well. But but you had a majority of, I would say, young people in their 20s just coming here because they wanted to live in Japan for a year or two, enjoy like a couple of years, enjoy their life here, and go back home and figure out what the fuck they wanted to do. That was my plan, and like so they had to basically train, since they had so much churn, basically had to recruit, it sounds like a bad word, import, set up, train to do the job, and keep track of thousands of English teachers coming into the country a month. Literally thousands. Maybe even I wouldn't say tens of thousands, but literally thousands, I'm sure, of English teachers, because they just shipped them all over the country. Like, right? Like I told you, I got picked up from the airport. It was like a annual it was like human trafficking. Like like the dude picked me up from the airport. They're like, okay, you're Akil, come on, this is the group. All right, we got everyone. Took me somewhere, handed me off to my manager. He took me to my apartment, handed me off to my roommate, and then it's like, okay, this is your room. Here's your futon. It arrived today. Good night. And then I had to do some shit, like, go to orientation. It was fucking crazy. It was like really, the whirlwind of that thing, because it's such a set system, was you can't even understand. Like, I'm in this country, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm jet lagged, like, I'm far from home. I just said goodbye to my family. I'm on the other side of the world. I'm just like, these people are taking me places, like, handing me off. I don't know where the fuck I am. I don't know what the fuck is going on. It was fucking crazy. And so they had this huge headquarters and like this huge tower in Shinjuku. Like, it was just money, being circulated in this place, right? Now, that gives you some type of idea about, the scale of this company, right? Of what it was at when it was at its peak, right? Thousands of students, like, it was just crazy. Now, I believe his name was Saluhashi, because his name translates to Monkey Bridge, was the founder and CEO of the company. You could probably find some old information about him, but basically, like, I never met the dude. I never saw him, but, he was doing some shady dealings, and apparently, and, he had like an office with like a private entertainment room, probably having orgies and shit in there. I don't know. There's all types of rumors, after the bankruptcy, but pretty much, like, he just was the king of the fucking castle. Now, what started, okay, I did that. Before I get into that, like, what I wanted to say was, before I get into the downfall of this company, I wanted to talk about the economic impact of having this massive amount of English teachers here. Because I think personally, I was thinking about it today, that this was actually highly inflationary healthy for the Japanese economy, right? At that time, you got to think, even though the general economy was deflationary, Japanese people didn't really spend money, Japanese people saved money, things like that. The people using money for English lessons were actually inadvertently stimulating the Japanese economy. Why? Because you had, on a macroeconomic kind of level, you had tons of course, not everyone, but you had a significant number of young foreign people with a lot of disposable income who really were not, savvy, financially savvy. Honestly, it was like an extension of college. That's what it was. Like, in my early to mid 20s, I was just living the college. It was like Disneyland. I was living the college life here, right? And you just got a job, you go to, you got money, and then you go out and, you're clubbing, you're traveling, things like that. But that's actually circulating money in the economy. So areas like Roppongi and Shibuya, and restaurants and nightclubs and bars and, small towns and hot springs and car rental agencies, people are using that money everywhere. So it's actually helping out the economy. It was helping out the economy quite a bit. And it was kind of clear to see after the bankruptcy and after the earthquake in 2011, the impact, and I think that's continuing now until in the Roppongi area. But of course, also the recession. That was kind of the three hits that kind of hit Japan. It was the Nova bankruptcy, the recession, the Lehman shock, as we call it here in Japan, and the earthquake were kind of three. And now the corona situation, I think, is going to be probably a knockout blow for a lot of industries, especially clubs and nightlife spots and things like that. But before 2007, man, shit was rolling. Like every weekend, there were just hundreds of English teachers. Think about just English teachers, all over Japan, like, all over the nightlife spots with just money and shit and nothing to do. So just going on crazy. Like, it was fucking crazy. Like I can't even describe it to you. It really was like a really, fun time to be alive and a fun time to experience, this interesting thing that we call Japan. Like I can't really put it into words. It was just a lot of fun, a lot of friends, a lot of fucking alcohol, a lot of just craziness, but so again, I'm trying to paint this picture of what this thing was, right? Now, what happened, I think I've kind of done, I think I've kind of done an adequate job of that. Now, what happened was, in early 2007, I caught wind of a court case or something like that against Nova. I really didn't, it was something that wasn't really talked about. At the time, I was, 20, 25, I think. And this was like my first, this bankruptcy was my first probably experience of, what is this? Being completely devastated in my life at the time, I think, as an adult, let me say that, right? Of course, like growing up, I had some, some run-ins, some shit, that of course I won't get into on this platform, but, growing pains, if you will. But that was like, as an adult, my first time getting punched in the fucking mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, by life. That's probably a better way of describing it. Life fucking just lined me up and fucking stole me in the jaw, basically. And so, like, what happened was in spring, like I said, at that time, because I was like, teaching for, it was like 2007, I was teaching for about 3 years, and I was like, okay, let me be a manager of a school, which sounds a lot better than it is. You're just a fucking middle manager. You don't really have any, whatever, okay. But, I was like, hey, let me try, I had a steady girlfriend. I was like, let me try and do something. I was getting a little antsy with just being a regular teacher, the daily grind of being a teacher, 5 days a week. So I was, like mid-20s, like, what am I going to do with my life? What happens when I want to go back to America? I got to have something to show for it. Let me become a manager. Maybe it'll look good on my resume, So I was managing a school, a Nova school, and I heard a whiff of like some kind of court case. A few students talked to me about it, and that Nova had to give refunds to some students or something like that. Now, from my memory, what happened was, I think the accounting system or payment system or something like that of Nova was deemed unfair by some court. Again, I don't even remember, or I don't even think I knew. Yeah, I just don't remember the details of exactly what happened because it was just so long ago. But pretty much through a court case, basically something about the contracts in Nova was deemed unfair. So the court basically said that people who wanted a refund from Nova could apply and get one, right? Now, this is actually what brought the company to its knees, because you have this massive behemoth company, by the way, which I forgot to mention, like all this real estate shit, all this insurance shit, all this stuff. They weren't doing this for their health, by the way. They were getting the piece out of everything. Like, if I remember correctly, I think I talked about before, my rent with Nova, I was only with them for a few months because they closed my apartment contract a few months after I came here, which is, through serendipity, how I met my wife. But basically, I think the couple months I was there, either in dollar terms, $800 or $900 a month, I want to say. I can't remember exactly which one. Maybe I want to lean towards 8, but even if it was 800 a month, right? And it was just like a flat thing, plus maybe 5,000 yen, $50 utilities, something like that, right? Flat fee. Like when all my other roommates moved out, I was a fucking idiot. Like I was just like, I'm paying for electricity, and all the utilities. Fuck it. I want my apartment to be warm when I come back. So like I left all the doors open, turned on all the air conditioners all day long, just so that when I came back from work, I can walk into like a warm apartment. Like I was had an American thinking. But I'm so embarrassed to say that. But like the last few weeks I was there, I just did that like every day. Like, it was November. I was like, I'm kind of cold. Like, I don't want to walk back into a cold apartment, so I'll just leave the lights on, leave all the air conditioners on, like just have the heat bumping all day, just so that I can come back and, this is nice. Like, I wouldn't have to go turn, I don't know, whatever. But okay, so how the apartments worked, it was like a 3 DK, which is like a three, not like a nice one, a 3 bedroom apartment basically. And that was furnished with kind of used furniture and of varying quality. My first one was actually good quality, I would say, but I heard some horror stories, so you're just living in basically the dorm room. But the apartments probably that I was living in, looking at it now, probably I would say cost about the location no more than 1,500, give or take 600. Let's say 1,600 a month, right? But every month, they got like maximum of 3 people living there. So, if you max that out, that's like 2,400 per month. So even if you got 2 people in there, you're breaking even, and you put a third one in there, you're making a profit off these people. And giving people a loan, of course, a 0 interest loan, which sounds good, but you're kind of locked in to work there. So pretty much like, they're making money off of the apartment that you're living in, that you're paying to them. You're paying, they're making money from you for working, because your hourly salary is a lot lower than what they're charging and making per lesson. I won't get into the numbers of that, but it is a huge difference. But of course, they have to pay for, again, rent in front of the station, advertising, TV commercials. Like that's why I say I love teaching English in Japan. I fucking hate the industry. I hate it. Like there's excuse me, and part of my number one mission is to crush it and reform it into what I want it to be. I mean, like, because that's one of the things where I realized I wanted to go the path of entrepreneurship, like online based stuff, not opening a language school. Because at the end of the day, man, if you have a language school in Japan, your goal is not to educate people. Your goal is to make sales. And of course, like, everyone needs to make money, but it just turns into a lot of smoke and mirrors, I think. And that's part of the problem with people's language ability in Japan. Everyone's selling people dreams, and nobody is just being straight up with people and telling them the information that they need to get. And if you do that and democratize that, then like, actually it raises the whole country up as a whole. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Like, I'm like just a fucking Eikaiwa vigilante right now, and I'm just trying to build my rep, because I realize, like, no matter how big my products are, how good my products are, I don't have the brand, I don't have that name, so no one believes me, because there's so much bullshit out there. So I basically gotta make my name by putting out good shit in the streets, like how I have done as an individual. Like, I'm a very popular teacher because of the quality of my lessons, both privately and in English schools. Like, I fucking work, I put in the work. Like, I've put in several years as a freelance teacher, like, day in and day out, putting in work, and just understanding Japanese people, understanding the language, understanding the culture, understanding how to communicate information, and stuff like that is kind of a delicate skill. And I say, I'm not like the best teacher because I'm the best teacher in Japan, but I think I'm the best teacher because I have like a combination of several skills that not a lot of teachers have. Like, they might have several of them, but they don't have all of them. And I say, like, I'm probably one, if not in my mind, the only one who has a combination of all those skills. So Sorry, a little sidebar. I had to talk my shit for a second. Anyway. But yeah, like, that's kind of why, like, I really want to, for students, for teachers, for everyone. I think, like, that's kind of the mission that I'm on, until I hit the top. That's why I'm keeping my dreams alive, keeping my dreams alive. But yeah, anyway, but I digress. Okay, so, oh yeah, the wine bottle's coming out. Hello, Mr. Wine Bottle. Do Costco's finest again. Costco, holla at me for a fucking endorsement. They don't want to endorse this shit. Who am I kidding? Nobody wants to endorse this shit. Okay, but all right, let me move this out of the way. All right, so back to the timeline of Nova's bankruptcy, right? So, like I said, because of that court case, Nova was basically pushed to give people refunds who wanted one. But now you would think at the time, like, I was like, okay, give refunds, whatever, it's not a big deal. And it was kind of like a hush hush kind of thing. Nobody really wanted to talk about that shit. Or my upper people, whatever, didn't really want to talk about it. The students kind of whispered about it a little bit. But you got to understand also, Japan is very much on reputation. So because there was some negative press about, it's like a 1-2 combination, because there was some negative press about Nova not being straight up with their students, that affected, people, remember, wall of pillows. Japanese people are not going to go against directly, but people are going to sit on the sidelines. So even if you think, I don't know how much, but let's say like a 15, 20% drop in sales, even let's say 30% drop in sales, business terms, right? Your sales are down. From those sales, you also have to give back money, right? Then you're talking negative cash flow. And what we found out later on was that, Nova didn't have any escrow. So they were doing package deals with students. So it's like, okay, you pay for like 100 lessons over 3 years, but that cash flow that comes in, they were just burning that shit like it was no tomorrow. There was nothing saved away. There was nothing put in escrow, and which is something that's good that came out of the situation. Now, my current company, and I'm guessing that's how the business model changed because of this bankruptcy. Companies, I'll just say the company I work for in particular, which is one of the largest English schools that exist now, which is nothing compared to what Nova was, by the way. They set everything up in escrow. So once a contract comes in, that money is put in an escrow account and is not touched until the student actually books a lesson, takes a lesson. After the student takes the lesson, the amount from that lesson is taken out and then given to the company that the company can use. So if then they did that, to kind of ease people's insecurities about the Nova situation. So me hearing that when I was in training, I was like, okay, that's good. I can kind of not trust this company, but like trust this company won't fuck me, basically, and just like pop up bankrupt one day. Drinking from the bottle, super classy. Actually, normally I don't drink from the bottle with this much left in it, but I just don't feel like pouring a glass, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm just being straight up with y'all. This is me. I drink from the bottle when I'm alone. Okay. So anyway, what am I talking about? Oh yeah. So just to set that up, right? These are kind of like, yeah, reductions in sales. Plus, I mean, I don't know what percentage of students wanted refunds, but it's just opens the door. Anyone who's like not making progress in their lessons, who's not taking their lessons, whatever, that's an excuse just to get their money back. So this happened, let's say like April 2007. By like end of summer, early fall, you started getting the rumblings of money trouble going on in the company. Now I was a manager, but I also had a friend who was in India working for the government, the State Department at that time, and luckily, she, we were way cool from way back in the day, and she was leaving India that December. And so I was like, like before this became heated up, I was like, telling my wife, my girlfriend, like, oh, I'm gonna go to India because I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to go to India again, to visit and have a place to stay. So, I think I got like a malaria shot. Went to the doctor, got a malaria shot, and I booked my flight to India. Now, what happened was this. I think like August, September, I booked my flight for October, put in my vacation time. I'm a manager. When I knew this shit was gonna hit the fan was, I think for September, I believe, Nova basically put out the word to all the managers that, this is when the cash flow issues were kind of really starting to heat up. Like, yo, we're not going to be able to pay the managers on time this month. I think it was like September. And it's like your pay is going to be delayed maybe a week or I think about a week or something like that. That's when I knew like the shit was over. I was like, okay, it's over. The company's going to go bankrupt. Because you got to think like the number of managers compared to the number of teachers is like nothing, right? Now, I was in not a big school, but like I think there were like 20 teachers, and me. So if you don't have the money to pay, dudes like me, the next month you're gonna have to pay 20 times that amount. You don't got it, like, which means it's game over. So I was like, all right, well, fuck, this company's going bankrupt. And so I was like, man, fuck it, I'm just going to India. Like, I was just like, I'm just going there. I booked my flight already, whatever. So when literally while I was in India, the company officially filed for bankruptcy. And so I was just like, fuck it, they filed for bankruptcy. I was just like in India enjoying New Delhi, Jaipur, the fucking Taj Mahal, Agra, Agra, the Taj Mahal was in Agra. But, just really enjoying the time. And then I was like, fuck it, I'll deal with it when I come back there. And when I came back, oh Lord, all hell was breaking loose. Oh my gosh. Like, because you gotta think, like, there was just a bunch of irresponsible motherfuckers. And I mean, I'm talking like you gotta think, like, and this is another thing I gotta tell you about this is the situation when I was there. Like, at that time, like, because the bar was so low and there was such a large amount of people coming into Japan, you also brought in the fucking riffraff, right? And like, I mean, I remember watching, I'm not even gonna search for it, like a YouTube thing about teaching in Japan, I think a couple of years ago. It was like some dude talking about his somebody he was going out with, and like another English teacher brought his date, and this dude was like in his 30s, and his date was like 16 years old, and I mean, I'm not saying there was a bunch of like pedophilia going on at the time. I'm not saying it was rampant, but if you gotta think, like, people who were not all on the up and up were also coming into Japan, right? And especially at that time, foreign people were a lot more sought after because they were a lot more of a exclusivity. It was like a sensei kind of thing. So, for example, I was debating whether I should tell this, but I'll fuck it. It's the truth. I'll tell it. Like, it's not about me, don't worry. But like my first roommate, like, was an interesting character. Like, so, okay, this dude, like, I told you the story, me coming to Japan, and I get off the train, my manager walks me to the door, and he's like, okay. He doesn't even walk me to the door, he just walks me to like the apartment, and he's like, all right, good luck. So we hit the bell, actually, and I'm just like fucking jet lagged and delirious, and he's like, all right, good luck. And I thought, what, you're not gonna go with me? Whatever. So I go in, my roommate, and for first time, if I've told this story before, my bad. And like, I'm fucking delirious, and because I just been almost like in transit for like literally almost 24 hours, right? And not knowing what the fuck is going on. And I had like a lot of crazy experiences on my flight, by the way, which I won't get into right now. If I haven't told you this story before. Basically, a dude almost died in front of me on the airplane. Okay, fine, I'll tell you the story. Okay. Basically, a dude, if I haven't told this before, like, I think I have told this before, but I'll tell it again. A dude almost fucking died in front of me on my way to Japan because, like, I was, like, in front of I was in front of like the jump seat, which is like where the stewardess sits, just so I can get a little bit extra leg room before they charge you for that. I just asked for it and they were like, okay. And like I'm on the plane, I'm chilling. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm on the airplane. That was the biggest thing for me. I'm the type of person, once I cross the threshold, take the first step, I'm fine. So the hardest thing for me to do was actually get on the plane. Say my dad drove me to the airport. I said bye to my dad. See you in a year. Yeah, right. And I get on the airplane. I'm like, okay, the door's closed. I'm like, fine, I'm on the airplane now. There's nothing I can do, right? I have to go to Japan because I'm on this airplane. I can't go back anymore, right? So I'm on the point of no return. I'm settling into my conviction that I'm going on the other side of the world, not knowing what the fuck is gonna happen. I'm trying to get my thoughts together and shit. And then after we eat, like, this dude, I think he was Chinese. He's going to the bathroom and he just collapses like right in the aisle, like right next to me. And I'm just like, oh shit. Like, I'm just like in shock. Like, are you serious right now? And, so everyone's like, oh, fuck, oh, fuck, oh, fuck. And I'm just like glued to my seat because I'm just like, it's like a movie time. I'm just like, what the fuck? And like, so the person next to me gets up, and I mean, normally I'm the type of person who would jump in and help in this type of situation, but I was just literally like, are you fucking serious? Like, this is the last thing I need right now. I'm trying to move to Japan and I'm trying to get my shit together. And this motherfucker's like collapsing right in front of me. What the fuck? Like, I'm like, this is just the most ironic shit ever like happening to me right now. It's kind of all that was going through across my mind. So they prop the guy up and they put him in the stewardess's jump seat. Well, if you know, like, the stewardess sits directly facing you. So like, I think I have told the story in the podcast, my bad. So like, I'm like literally like face to face with this person. And this dude is like looking like, if you're not seeing it on audio, like, yeah, go to YouTube and watch it. But he's just like looking dead, just like a fish out of water. And I'm just like watching this dude's fucking corpse, like, stare me in the face, like, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Come on. Like, I'm trying to move to Japan. I'm like, we're in the air. We've been in the air for a couple of hours. Like, we know I got to look at this corpse for like 6 hours on my way to Japan. Come on. What the fuck? So like, the stewardess is like, is there a doctor? Is there a doctor anywhere? Like, I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And I'm just like sitting there, just holding my armrest, just like looking at this dude like, are you fucking kidding me? And, people rushing over, because it's just like a TV show. It's like, this cannot be really happening to me. And, I remember like it was a few people came over and this person's like, I'm a doctor. And so he rushes over and I guess he was like a doctor of Chinese medicine or something. So like he he like had this gold globe on like a chain or something. I'll never forget what this thing looked like. It's like a little gold globe, small gold globe on like a chain. And so he like put it in front of the guy's head and he like spun it, and he's like spinning it and looking at the guy. And then he puts his hand on his chest like, he's okay. And then me too. Everyone just stopped, looked at the guy. The steward just looked at the guy and was like, okay, is there a doctor on the plane? But like, he might have did something because like, I want to say, I don't know how long it was. This is a while ago, maybe like 30 seconds after he did that shit. And she's like looking around for a doctor. The guy who, for, I don't know, several minutes, not breathing, eyes wide open, looking like a fucking dead body, just suddenly like, just coughed up like something black. I guess it was wine or steak. We had steak, I think. Just coughed it up, threw up some of that shit, and just snapped back into it. He was just like boof back from the dead, and it was like fucking flatliners or something. It was crazy, and he was just like, "Oh, okay, I'm fine." It was like, "Yo, chill the fuck out, just don't move." And he's like, "Oh, I'm good." And a few minutes later, he went back to his seat, and like the stewardess came over. I felt like a fucking scumbag because like the stewardess came over the guy next to me who was like a superhero. You know, I'm on the aisle, by the way. Like the guy had to like get me out of the way because I'm just sitting there, just like looking at the show, just like what the fuck. She's like, "Hey, thank you so much. Do you want like a coupon? We'll give you something for that." And then she just gives me the dirtiest look, like, "You useless motherfucker." Because I did not move a muscle the whole time this whole shit happened. I was just like, but I'm just trying to get to fucking Tokyo. Come on, man. You know, yeah, but whatever. Like, so anyway, so after dealing with all of that, I arrive at my apartment, and my my roommate, he, you know, I'm like delirious because I'm just like been through the fucking ringer. And he's like, "Hey, welcome to the spot." You know, there wasn't another person living there. Like the next roommate was gonna come, I think like a week and a half after, a week, 2 weeks after. So it was just me and him there. And so he's like, "Hey, man, you know, put your stuff down, get comfortable." Him and his girlfriend at the time, his girlfriend were there, or I think he said his fiance. I think she was his fiance. Of course, like I remember she was kind of in, how do I explain this? At the time, you know, the basic level of cuteness in Japan is very high. Like, okay, shit, okay, I might get myself into trouble. I'm sorry if I offend anyone, but for me, this is the truth. And from a guy's perspective, the basic level of attractiveness in Japan is very high. The average attractiveness you're gonna find here is high, right? The way I describe it is like, in Japan, there's a lot of, ooh, okay, you know, there's a lot of that, but there's not as much, wow, you know, there's not as much, oh shit, and there's not as much, wow, you know, you're not seeing like as many stunningly beautiful women, and you're not gonna see as many like, oh shit, like, what happened to you kind of women. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest, ladies, you know. But you have a solid consistency of, okay, yeah, you know, and so it can be kind of like a guy's playground because of that. Like, you know, you're getting good numbers you're getting a lot of 7s, a lot of 8s, you know, some 9s, you know, depending on what your type is, but definitely a lot of solid 7s and 8s are gonna be there, you know. So, you know, at the time, you know, I really didn't see a lot of Japanese women, so she was like pretty, you know, but I'm not gonna stare at her because I met this guy like 5 minutes ago and I'm fucking delirious. And so he pulls out like a carton. He has a carton of sake. He's like, "This sake is good, let's drink some." So I'm talking about time and space. I'm like, time doesn't exist because we're in the future right now. In America, it's 12 hours in the past. This is crazy. And he's like, "Yeah, okay, just fucking drink with me." You know, and so, yeah, so I drink with this guy, and I fucking pass out eventually. You know, and I was like, okay, he's cool. The next morning, I wake up. You know, he's already gone to work. Or I think he's not gone to work, or he's about to. I forgot, right? But maybe no, because I remember why. He hadn't gone to work. He was still in his bedroom. But I walk outside, open my sliding door, and I see in the kitchen, it's like a fucking movie. A girl, not a woman, a girl. The night before, she was in her jeans, a little white kind of, you know, shirt. I remember, a little low cut kind of thing. You know, told you, got a couple glances, but I see in the morning, I thought it was someone completely different. I was like, "Who the fuck are you?" It was a girl in a fucking high school uniform making a goddamn bento making a lunchbox in my goddamn fucking kitchen. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? So, it is after this, I find out that my roommate, who is about 30, is dating a 17-year-old high school girl. And she's his fiance, right? I'm like, is this what Japan is? By the way, this is not what Japan is. Again, this is that I found out very clearly. This is not what Japan is all about. I just wanted to make that clear. But this is kind of, what I was walking into, and that lets you know, like, the doors are wide open, basically. So, yeah, basically, this dude was he informed me what happened was it's fucking disgusting, but basically this girl, when she was 15, she was one of his students. He'd never kissed a boy, never done anything, and he preyed upon her, basically. And he had his system for getting women who were students. Several guys did. There was also that type where, for me personally, I think that's like a weak move, especially being an English teacher here, because as a teacher, it's like being a psychologist or a boss. You're in a position of power, so it's a lot easier to, be seen as attractive to someone. But guys at the time used that, milked that, especially if they weren't getting any love and it didn't have any game getting any love in their home country. Being a foreign guy, and being an English teacher for your students were prime game. And there were some people, some housewives, some women who came wanting that experience as well. So, but this dude, he was a nice guy to me, but that side of him was like, yeah. He would talk about it and justify it, but you just like, you're his roommate, so you don't want to like make waves about it, but just like, okay, I'm 22 at the time, like, yeah, she's like 17, maybe 17, 18, I can't remember, but I'm like, for me, that's, if she's 18, that's kind of borderline, but you're 30, dude, like, you met her when she's 15, you just gotta listen to him, because he's like the OG at that time, but whatever. So basically, he met her when she was 15 in her school, local school, Nova School, which is again nearby, and he fandangled her or whatever and became her boyfriend, and then he had his whole justifications for it and all this other crazy shit, but like whatever. I won't get deep into this guy's history just because, but again, I don't want to like creep everyone out, and give you the impression that everyone who was in Japan at that time was like that. There were definitely different categories of scumbags. I would say that there were like the sleeping with the students scumbags, the preying on young girls scumbags, the fucking housewives scumbags, the fucking staff scumbags, the fucking, multiple student scumbags, the can't manage their money scumbags. There's just a bunch of them, alcoholic scumbags. Like, it was just take your pick, right? But again, not everyone was like that, but there was a larger proportion of those kind of scumbags here at that time. And basically, long story short, with this guy, what happened was he ended up moving. I won't say why, because I won't give too much information about this dude, just in case he's listening. But basically, if you're listening, I'm sorry. Hey, you did it. This is your life. I'm just telling it. But basically, he moved. He was from America. He when she graduated high school, he wanted to marry her and move back to America to pursue his other educational dreams or whatever. So they moved back to America together, because basically he moved to America with her. And then he came back a few years later, and one time I met him, he messaged me like, hey, I'm coming back to Japan, let's meet up. And I was like, okay, and basically he was like, yeah, we moved back to America. She was like 19 at the time. And, she was going to school or something like that. And he was trying to go to school or something like that. And of course, Like she starts cheating on him like a bunch with a bunch of guys and going all crazy. And I'm like, and, you know, she broke up or whatever. But I'm like, she's fucking 19. And if you think about it, again, take my rule. This is part of where my 5 to 7 year rule comes from. If you think about it, she's 19, 18, 19. She's been with this dude since she was 15. Minus, let's say, 5 years. She has the mentality of a 10-year-old when she meets him, you know, and he's basically molesting her, you know. And don't worry, he was like, yeah, her parents know and all this shit. It's fucking crazy. By the way, my wife, you know, when I was starting to think like, holy shit, like this is what Japan's about. And after me and my wife started dating, she was like, yeah, your roommate's that guy, that creepy guy with the fucking high school girl in the back of his bicycle. And apparently in the area where, you know, because we lived near each other, like, she was like, yeah, everyone knows about that guy. Everyone's fucking disgusted by him, basically. You know, but he had no shame in it. He was just like, yeah, fuck it. What are you going to do? Yeah, fuck. Like, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so what happened with, you know, he got his comeuppance because he took her back to America and she was just cheating on him left and right. And for me, of course, she's 19. You're the only guy she's ever dated. You're a fucking 30-year-old dude. In Japan, you might be the cool ikemen, like, you know, stylish English teacher. But when you take her back to America, where she's gonna get male attention, guys are gonna be hitting on her for the first time ever, saying she's pretty, telling her she's cute, trying to get her number day in and day out, of who are her age, who probably look better than you. What the fuck do you think is gonna happen? You think she's just gonna ignore all that shit and marry you because she's making you fucking lunchboxes in her high school uniform in fucking Tokyo? Get the fuck out of here. You know, like, whatever. Like, I didn't say that to him, but I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, whatever. You know, So karma bit him back in the ass. He ended up back in Japan for a while and then fucked off somewhere. I don't know. So I don't know. But you know, at least for me, that story has somewhat of a satisfying ending. But anyway, I'm getting completely sidetracked. It's getting kind of late, so let me kind of conclude. But I'm happy. I'm kind of giving the full picture of this time in Japan's history, in Japan's history, at least how it relates to foreign people. So, in the story, you know, you had all this shit going on in, you know, when after Nova went bankrupt, you had all these teachers who basically, you know, I had money saved up at the time. I had quite a bit of money saved up. You know, I'd been here for a while. I kind of stabilized my life a bit. I had like a term deposit account, like saving money. So I was okay. But there were, you know, hundreds, thousands of people who had been in, who I had no sympathy for. I'm like, yo, if you just came to Japan and the company goes bankrupt, that's fine. But if you've been in Japan for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and you're literally like, I heard stories of people who literally had zero money in their bank account, fucking went out drinking on payday, and then at midnight, one of them went to the ATM machine to take out the money to pay the fucking bill. You're a fucking loser. I'm sorry. Like, you're a loser and you deserve everything that you get. You know, this is not fucking high school. This is not college. You're a fucking adult, man. Like, you should have enough self-control to be able to practice delayed gratification enough to at least, that's why I was telling you a few episodes ago, save some fucking money when you come to Japan as much as possible, because you don't want to be on the skin of your teeth, and you don't know what the fuck can happen here. Like, look at this corona situation. You know, you don't know what can happen. Like, things change. An earthquake can happen. Like, shit can change at the drop of a dime, and you want to have at least some type of money where you need to hop on the plane, you need to survive for a while. Because there were fucking English teachers, like, you know, oh my god, like 2 days after the company went bankrupt, like, what am I gonna do? I don't have any money. I can't eat. Like, I'll teach you English in the park for a bento. There were teachers teaching English in the park for fucking bento boxes, like, a week after the company went bankrupt. Like, what are you doing? What have you been doing with your life if like, it's just like I told you, like, it, fucking whatever. Like, I was just like reading this shit, like, nobody. That's what I said. Nobody cares. This is not your country. Nobody. This is part of the reason why I kind of take this kind of hard stance where I'm like, yo, when you live in this country, you gotta get your shit together, man. You can get lulled to sleep by the false sense of security of this country, but your life is your responsibility here, and you gotta, like, to the best of your abilities, like, prepare for whatever thing could happen. So but yeah, so after that, it was just nonstop online crying, whinging, complaining, fucking anger from different English teachers, and then a lot of them, of course, went back to their home countries, and the country, and excuse me, basically I was like out of a job. I forgot, was that paid or unpaid? I think I was unpaid because the company went through bankruptcy for I think 2 months, which was the fucking crappiest 2 months of my life. I'm not gonna lie, like, because I was just like, I'm in this country. What the fuck am I doing with my life? Like, and I think the company was bought out and went through restructuring, and then the company, and I think after 2 months, everyone who was still there was brought back, but then, like, the new company, they, of course, people kind of expected and thought like things would go back to the way it was, but they needed to make a profit, and the situation really deteriorated for me. I was really unhappy. That's when I got an opportunity to take a part-time teaching job, which was like a good, substantial enough chunk of income where I just said, fuck it. I quit and became a freelance teacher for like 5 years after that. But yeah, and then after that time, that really changed the landscape of foreign people in Japan. That's when being an English teacher wasn't really a status symbol anymore, because the stigma of like that bankruptcy, if you think about it, that was like 15 years ago. So before that point, people in their 20s or teens or whatever thought of English teachers as kind of a high status from like this 80s, 90s. It had been going down since the 80s. Like, you talk to like foreign people who were there in the 80s, they were like, motherfucker, they used to talk so crazy. I used to get $10,000, like basically $100, 10,000 yen, $100 an hour just for doing nothing, just for showing up, like, and then they look, you don't know. And now I'm that old guy, like, you don't know what it was like when we were punky. But I mean, that's kind of what it was. So, yeah, so like a lot of those, I don't even know what the fuck happened to those career kind of people. Like, but it's life, man. People bounce back. They find like Jurassic Park says, life finds a way, and I think, people, just like with this corona situation too, I'm very optimistic. People will find a way. It seems dark. It seems hopeless. People will find a way. Life finds a way. Humanity finds a way to power through. You don't know how many times in my short life, how many times I've heard that this is the end of days, that everything's going down. We're still here. We're gonna be here. Everything's gonna be okay. And when the Lehman collapse happened in 2008, everyone thought the sky was falling. It will be okay. You will be fine, is what I want to say. Leave on a positive note. And after that point, yeah, Japan went through a very much transition period, and the status of the English teacher, the ease to come to Japan, the income level of incoming English teachers, dropped, I would say, I'd say about 20% for incoming English teachers dropped. Yeah, there was a 20% drop in salary for incoming English teachers because the demand wasn't there, the supply wasn't there, the business model had to change. A lot of things had to change. So it was interesting, really, really interesting point in history. And yeah. So I'm just gonna leave it there. If you have any more questions about that time, just let me know. I'm happy I got that whole fucking story out. I almost finished my wine. I'm gonna leave the wine there too. I should start drinking from the bottle at this point because I gotta fucking work tomorrow. I'm kind of fucking drunk. I told you, like, I drink 2 glasses of wine at home. And I'm just like fucking and buzzed. So I'm just gonna leave it there. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you got a better picture of life in Japan from this. I had fun telling it. I'm looking forward to playing this back for myself on my commute after I upload it. So, all right, y'all, I'm going to leave it there. Hit me up if you have any more questions or want me to expand on anything else, and I'll holler at you next time. Peace.